You're listening to the 5-Minute Friday podcast episode of The Aligned Self. This is your host, Daniel Danovi. Okay, 5-Minute Friday, a short and concise podcast episode of The Aligned Self designed to leave you with a question, an idea, a strategy, a tip, a hack, in order to give you greater access to your conscious awareness, evolving your conscious awareness, or give you greater mastery over your mind. Hello, friend, and welcome into this 5-Minute Friday. Today we're going to talk about manifesting. Now, there's something that you need to stop doing that more than likely you have been doing that has been getting in the way or delaying your manifestations. Now, law of attraction is always working. We're always attracting. We're always manifesting things into our life. Some of the things are undesired or not necessarily the most desired. And then the things we really want seem to take longer. Why is that? Well, what I'm going to talk about today is something you need to stop doing right away because it's not your domain. It's not your purview. It's not your responsibility. And that is stop trying to figure out how the manifestation is going to come about. In yesterday's episode, I said that the role of the conscious mind is to point your other than conscious mind, the other parts of you, in a direction. Create an intention. Ask a question. Its role is not to actually answer the question or do the work. So in the context of manifesting, your role is to create an intention, a desire, align with the desire, and then give up the idea that you need to know how it's going to transpire. You leave that part up to the universe. Because with your little itty-bitty conscious mind, you don't necessarily have access to all the different scenarios, all the different agendas, all the different pathways by which your manifestation can come about. And the more narrowly focused you are on how it has to happen, that in itself is a command to the universe, and chances are it is not the most effective way to fulfill on your manifestation. And we're also somewhat limited in our mind because sometimes we wish for, say, X amount of dollars, but we don't have any idea how that X amount of dollars might show up in our life. We can't imagine someone would send us money. We can't imagine that we would find, say, a diamond ring or something else of value. I can remember about 20 years ago, I needed $10,000, and I had no idea how it was going to come about. And I actually said that to the universe. I have no idea how we're going to fulfill on this. We, me and the universe. But I trust that the universe will align things in a way to bring me what I require. And then I got curious just on how it might happen. And then I waited. I was in the allowing stage. I was waiting to receive my guidance. And I was hanging out with a friend of mine who received a phone call from a friend who had a friend who had been diagnosed with cancer. And he could no longer sail his boat. He needed to sell it. And my friend's friend was asking my friend, are you following this? And my friend Walt's friend asked my friend Walt if he knew anyone that was in the market for a sailboat. The guy that was selling his boat was offering up a finder's fee. And my friend said, no, I don't know anybody. And I leaned into my friend Walt and I said, I couldn't help but overhear, is anyone eligible for this finder's fee if I find a buyer for the boat? And Walt asked his friend my question, and his friend said, yeah. I then asked my friend Walt if I could talk to his friend sometime to get more information about the boat so I could find a buyer. And they all said yes. And so as soon as I could, I went down to the marina, to the slip where the boat was parked, and it was quite a boat. I took pictures of it, and I got all the details. The only problem was I had no idea who could buy a $200,000 sailboat. Now, I could have been in the thinking, I have no idea. I don't know how to find a buyer. But I was in the wondering. I was in the curiosity of it. Well, I had taken the pictures with my video camera, which also had a still camera feature. It was the early days of digital photography. So after I took the pictures, I started to make my way home. Now, I lived about 90 miles away from the marina, so before I actually made my way to the highway, I stopped at a convenience store near the marina. I was able to refuel my car, and I walked inside to get something to drink. And while I'm standing at the register, I overhear a conversation. Someone was talking about upgrading their boat, upgrading their sailboat. And the thing that stuck out in my mind is the guy said, "Yeah, I'm ready for something a lot bigger." So I dropped out of line and walked over to the two guys that were having the conversation. And I said, "Excuse me, but I couldn't help but overhear that you were looking for a boat. I happen to know someone that is selling their 55-foot sailboat. Is that something you'd be interested in?" And he said, "That's exactly the size I'm looking for." Imagine that. And I said, "Well, if you have about 15, 20 minutes, we can drive down to the marina and take a look at it right now. And if you like it, I'll put you in touch with the owner." Long story short, it was exactly what he was looking for. The boat was priced to sell. He liked the price. He contacted the owner and he bought it. I made $12,000. I could not have figured that out consciously with my little conscious mind, but the universe knew exactly where to lead me, where to throw the breadcrumbs, what impulses to give me. I wanted to stop and get something to drink. I had enough fuel to get home, but why not just top off the tank? And that's how it goes. The trouble we fall into is when we create an intention and we don't know how it's going to be fulfilled, or we can't even say how it would begin to be fulfilled, we almost sound a little bit delusional. But I tell you, if you're willing to give up having to know how it's going to come about, things will come a lot faster. Your job is simply to create the intention, to be in the receiving mode, to allow the universe to work on your behalf. In fact, if you want to feel like you're giving an assignment to somebody, you can think of yourself as the CEO, and you're going to turn it over to your plant manager or your business manager to fulfill on your intention. You're the visionary. This is what you want to attract, and you turn it over to the manager to fulfill on. I also like the idea of turn it over to your people. This is what I want to have accomplished. You turn it over to your people, and they're just going to get it done. And they get back with you when it's fulfilled. But in the meantime, you're not wondering whether or not they're doing the work, doing their job. You just assume because you gave it to them that they are responsible and they are going to fulfill on your intention. They are going to make it happen. They're your people, after all. And while you're expectantly waiting, they are going to bring you the right people, bring you the right circumstances, give you urgings and impulses to follow. So here's a simple framework. You create an intention and you basically say, I have no idea how this is going to be fulfilled, but I am committed to making this happen. I am attracting this in my life now. And you can either give the how up to the universe or give it up to your people, give it up to your manager, giving it over to the management to fulfill on, whatever satisfies your mind. And then, like placing an order at a restaurant, you expect the waiter to fulfill on the order, that the cook is cooking the food, that your people are doing the work. There is that expectation that it is already happening, it's already done. Doesn't it create a sense of relief in you to know that you don't have to figure out the how? All you need is the why. All you need is the intention. Put the order in and turn it over to somebody else. Now, sometimes we have an idea how it's going to come about. We have a pretty good idea how it's going to come about, but that's just one possible solution. And your perspective might be limited. It just may be. And so what I like to do is invoke the miraculous. Now, the miraculous is something that we don't necessarily expect. So when we plan or when we have an idea how something is going to show up, we have a knowing. But what if there's something that is beyond our knowing? So when I invoke the miraculous, I say I've planned to the best of my ability, but I'm leaving the door open for something even more miraculous, more amazing, more phenomenal to show up. In other words, this or something better. So that's it, my friend. In order to speed up your manifestations, to fulfill on your intentions, give up the how. Don't worry about it. Leave that up to the universe. Leave that up to God, Goddess, all that is. Leave that up to your people to fulfill on. Well, until next time, this is your friend and host, Daniel Danovi, urging you to follow your bliss. Live your life from inner signals. Be inner directed as you engage in the epic adventure.